Hello everyone and welcome to our Draft Today video for today. My name is Jeff Hoagland. We are drafting a 665 yet again. We have a pretty reasonable pack one here. Boomshroom. Boomshroom's like a reasonable card here that is an okay bomb in the Dreadlings deck. I don't think I really want to take that for my first pick here. We have a Strangle here, which is just like a really quality piece of removal in this format. Just like target troop gets -4/-4 for 2. Just like kills most of the things you care about, is quick, it trades up on resources. There's a Butcher in this pack as well, which is really good in the more controlling blood decks in the format. Tactician, Razor Duelist, Shadowblade Slicer, Moshpit. There's a lot of quality commons in this pack as well. Dread Apprentice. I think Strangle's 10 out of 10 to pick though. We move into our next pack here. We go from a really strong pack to a kind of mediocre pack. Looking at the commons here, Sparkle Cap and like Galleon Duelist are like pseudo-playable, but they're never a reason to move into one of those thresholds. Iotachi Coins is obviously great if you're already in Ruby. Roidbot is mediocre fixing. Zenthos Hunger is like an okay blood card, so maybe that's the pickup, but I actually think I'm going to go ahead and grab the Monk here. I think this is one of the more powerful wild cards in the format. Just a 3/3 for 3 that on Diligence gets +2/+2 in Spell Shield until the start of your next turn, which means that once you start attacking with this, it's going to turn into a 5/5 with Spell Shield as long as it can keep beating down. And usually you play this in like a Grandfather Elk deck, so it will get to continue beating down. If you're fortunate enough to grab a couple of Outposts in the third pack, this thing will just like be super powerful. In our next pack here, okay, so, all 4 uncommons are here, and Phoenix Guard Lancer is a really powerful one. 4/4 Flight, Steadfast, Immobilize, so you can play this out on the 3rd turn of the game even. I often don't mind taking this and like splashing it into like a Diamond Sapphire or Diamond Wild deck, so we already got this Monk. It could also be splashed into a Blood deck if that ends up being open. Nothing else super exciting in this pack. Web Scribe's like a playable card, but I don't think it's a reason to move into Sapphire. And like Tomb Swap's good if you already have bombs. We don't really have that many bombs yet. I guess you could argue Monk is kind of a bomb, but I think I'm going to go ahead and grab the Phoenix Guard Lancer here and just kind of wait and get a feel for what's kind of open in this pack based on what else comes around here. Kind of keep our options open here early. We've got 3 very reasonable uncommons, and we haven't really seen too many good commons to follow them up. As we get to our next pack here, Windborn, Ascension, and Diamond's Favor are both very playable cards. I think I'd rather go ahead and grab the Favor here. This is a piece of removal as opposed to Windborn Ascension being more of a bomb card, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. And we've got Favor along with the Phoenix Guard Lancer here. And our next pack here, man, this draft feels all over the place so far. There's Bellicier's Ballad is a pretty reasonable Ruby card, but we're definitely not picking up a 4th threshold in this pack. Galleon Sentinel is probably the most playable card here. I guess Relentless Zombie's not even particularly good. Wild Favor is good in a Dreadling deck, but like nothing we have so far is Dreadling based. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this Sentinel. If we end up playing the Monk, we can play the Sentinel alongside of it. I guess I could move into taking the Talon Keep Watcher here. Just like it's still early, so I hope to pick a bunch of these up. Yeah, I kind of like that actually. Anytime you're able to get like 2 or 3 of these, you can really start to go to town on people. Like if you go Talon Keep Watcher on 2 into Talon Keep Watcher on 3, you're just gonna get to apply a lot of pressure. This pack's pretty reasonable for us in Wild here. Sparkle Cap is okay with the Diamond as well because you can put the Flight on Attack Gem in it. Railroad Tactics is a fine combat trick that kills people, especially with when you're on the back of Grandfather Elk. Blindside 2 is also very good. It's particularly good with the Monk the first turn because like you attack with it and then they go to like kill it in combat, and you can Blindside to turn it into a 8/8 basically. Or if like once it's already attacking as a 5/5, you can Blindside to turn it into a 10/10. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and grab the blind side here. The biggest upside to grabbing the blind side is that it doesn't commit us to being in wild, so if we end up not wanting to play this card, it's not too big of a deal. This pack's fairly mediocre for what we're looking to do. Friar Tusk is okay. Mechanized Gem Scout is medium. Motor Chariot is a card that's like kind of decent with Ada in the mid to late game. This like takes your cards and turns your phantoms into real threats. There's nothing else too particularly exciting in this pack, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up. There's no guarantee that we end up playing this card, but I think it's reasonable. Coins is another card that could be cute with the Monk, and if we do end up splashing the Phoenix Guard Lancer into a either Diamond Blood or Diamond Wild deck, it'll help us do that reasonably. I love when my one off threshold resource is a coin, because that way when we draw it in the late game and we already have that threshold, we can cycle it away. And our next pack here, this is our first pack come back around to us now. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab the Sparkle Cap and start moving in towards the Wild Diamond deck here. The Shadowblade Slicer really don't have any good enablers for it just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. I'm going to go ahead and hide the Strangle. I think I'm going to hide the Moto Chariot at this point too. Yep, there's our Sparkle Cap in here. That's probably fine. I also don't hate Enlarge, but honestly I think I want to just like be picking things up that allow me to apply the most pressure. I could see snagging the Roid Bot in case we want to do splash this Phoenix Guard Lancer, but I think I'd rather have the Sparkle Cap at this point, just get the two attack flyers. And we get another Roid Bot come back around. Worth waiting on that because not a super highly playable card, so the chances of getting 1 to 2 of them later are good. Ideally for splashes, we'll have like we had yesterday where we have like a Roid Bot, a Tinkertron, and then like 1 to 2 resources, especially if we have some coins. Deck's kind of medium so far. We don't have anything too terribly powerful. We've got like a piece of removal, we've got a combat trick and blindside, we've got Monk, so could be worse. In this pack, I guess we'll go ahead and take them on Sagai coins. I like prioritizing coins in decks that have a splash because then we can like play 19 resources reasonably. The Feral Root Tactics came back around to us. I really like this card. I think this card's undervalued by a lot of people. Even when you don't have Valor Producers, just getting +4/+4 if you're a Grandfather Elk deck is very, very powerful. We've got like 9-ish playable cards here, depending on whether or not we end up with the Phoenix Guard Lancer. If we don't end up with the Lancer, we've got 7 playable cards, which still isn't too terrible. Still have a pack and a half to go. People will get more solidified in the shards that they're drafting, and hopefully we'll start getting more good wild cards. Grab the last end of the dredge pack, and then hopefully open and get past some bombs here. Some biggity bombs. As far as on threshold cards go, we've got a Blindside, a Battle Preparation, a Storm Rider, and a Vanquish. I think I'm going to prioritize taking the Storm Rider here, just like a 2/2 with Flight for 3. This card's really good at like blocking against Ada decks, because they just have 1/1 flyers. Would like it the Blindside of the Battle Prep wheeled back around to us, but I think we're like not excited, but we're content to like pick up the Storm Rider. In our next pack here, we have some like reasonably powerful things. Call of the Deepwood I think is probably the pick here. It's an uncommon that Conscription Ardent or Underworld Troop with cost 5 and puts it into play. Outflank and Vanquisher here as well. Tale of Compassion's a little bit medium. Windborne Ascension is fine, but like I don't think it's worth splashing for like Phoenix Guard Lancer is. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Call of the Deepwood here. It brings our curve up a little bit, but this often conscripts some bombs. This next pack, nothing too terribly exciting for us. There's another Fail Route Tactics, but I don't know they're in the market for another one of those just yet. This will likely wheel back around to us. I think I'm happy to just pick up this Storm Raider here. Storm Raider is not only an evasive threat, especially when we have these Sparkle Caps on 2. Like, this will have a Flight Gem in it, so we can like curve Flying 2-drop into Flying 3-drop and apply pressure in the air. This also can do things like reset things like opposing Shackling Strands and stuff like that with its revert cost. We get to our next pack here. Battle Preparations is not terrible. Rose Kitten's actually very powerful in this type of archetype, but I feel like it's a little bit too late to be picking those up. If this was still the first pack, I think I'd snap off Rose Kitten here over the Battle Preparations, but the fact that we're in pack 2, I think makes this the more quality pick for us. Get to our next pick here. There's another Fail Route Tactics here, but I think I would want to just continue picking up the quality threats here in Battle Preparations. This basically gives us a 3 to 4 power thing over the cost of 3 resources that you can easily deploy by the 3rd turn of the game. We get to the next pack here. Do I have any Valor producers right now? Apprentice Earthcaller is good if we can produce Valors, but actually have actual 0 right now, and there's no guarantee we're going to get them in the 3rd pack. I honestly don't mind picking up this 3rd Storm Raider. There's an Enlarge here that's like a playable combat trick, but hopefully we can get a trick or 2 that wheels back around to us here. Storm Raider's a higher priority pickup for a lot of things, especially with like this Phoenix Guard Lancer at our top end too. Like, we've got a good quality flying base here. As we get past another Enlarge, yeah, I think that's going to be the pick here. It gives a troop +2/+2 in Skyguard. Lets you punch through blockers. There's another Rose Kitten here. I guess I'm not going to end up playing this. Awakened Herald enables our splash, doesn't it? I would say I'm not going to play this, but it does. Yep. This is better than Roid Bot on average. We don't need these two, but like we're gonna have Diamond pretty consistently in our deck, and using Diamond to get Sapphire off of a 2/1 seems plenty reasonable. So let's go ahead and do that. And up next, we got another coin that came back around to us here, or a Battle Preparation. So we theoretically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess the Talon Keep Watcher is not going to be playable. So we've got 16-ish playables right now. The Battle Preparation would 10 out of 10 be a playable card for us. That being said, these coins are kind of tasty, right? Like, they're enabling our Phoenix Guard Lancer. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the coin here, I think. I think we can wheel another playable or 2 out of this pack. That was our first pack coming back around to us. I'm going to prioritize taking the coin to make this Phoenix Guard Lancer splash easy. Hopefully we can get away with not playing this Roid Bot with the 2 coins and the Awakened Herald now. And 3 coins, we're probably getting into like 19 shard territory, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Silencing Sneck for the reserves. Card's plenty fine to reserve in against decks that have constants in them. There's the Feral Root Tactics that we saw earlier that I said would likely wheel when we took the Storm Rider, so happy to grab a second Tactics here. Like I said, Tactics alongside Grandfather Elk's activation will win you a lot of games. It's just like +3/+3 and then 4/4 on top of that lets you punch through most blockers and just crush people. We took that Rose Kitten earlier, right? Nope, we took took something else instead. Well, I guess we'll grab that. Nah, I'm gonna grab the Reversion. This card's plenty playable. This is a really reasonable combat trick, especially when they like try to trick your trick like Feral Root Tactics or Blindside or something like that. This can revert your opponent's card in response. So we're at 17 playables out of this pack now, so just like well on track. Really glad we took that coin over the other battle preparation. We're a little bit light on threats in this deck so far, so probably want to prioritize troops in our third pack, but shaping up okay. One... Apprentice Earthcaller. I don't think we want a second Enlarge, especially with 2 Feral Root Tactics. I'm going to grab the Apprentice Earthcaller on the off chance we pick up a couple of Spring Dancers in the third pack. Spring Dancer is everything this deck wants to be doing anyways, so if we have a couple of payoff, we have a payoff for our Valor, that would be fine. If we don't end up getting any Valor producers, the Apprentice Earthcaller can just get cut. So we look at our pack here. Our deck's actually a little bit light on removal, so this Lamify is probably the most reasonable pick for us. Revert and transform target troop into a Llama, which is a 2/2. This pack's actually pretty good for us, right? Like, there's a Grimskull Tactician here that I wouldn't mind wheeling. There's a Root Wrangler here that we can put the Flight on Attack gem in here that I wouldn't mind coming back. Same thing with the Winter Brave, Flight on Attack. I think it's just Lamify because the only removal we have so far is this Diamond's Favor, but it's probably kind of close. You don't actually need a ton of removal in this archetype with Grandfather Elk because you're generally a fairly aggressive deck. I'm gonna hide the Enlarge and the Apprentice Earthcaller for the time being. See how we end up after all that. We get another Root Wrangler in this pack, but there's the Spring Dancer. It's a 2/2 for 2 that when it deploys, it creates a Valor and puts it into our hand. So 10 out of 10, picking her up. It's going to have to be a huge bomb in a pack for us to pass the Spring Dancer in a deck that's aggressively scented like we are right now. We just want as many Spring Dancers as we can get our hands on. Just all of the Spring Dancers, give them to me. To me, to me, to me. As we look at this next pack, nothing too terribly exciting in here. I think the pick's probably this Leyline Purifier. There's enough constants in the format that this effect is relevant. We may or may not end up main decking it. For now, it's going to go in here, but this is definitely a card that we'll reserve. And it's a little bit better than Silencing Sneak since we can play it out proactively and play defense with it or apply pressure with a Leyline Purifier while we wait for our opponent to deploy their constant. Finally got a Root Wrangler here. We also have a Verdant Mill, though. This says exhaust 1 more troops you control. Add a Conquest counter to this for each troop exhausted, and then when it has 5 or more counters on it, whenever you play a resource, you get a 2/2. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to grab Verdant Mill. We only have 1 Diligence card in Monk, but, like, anytime you go Mill on 1 or 2 into Monk on 3, you're going to have a really hard time losing the game. Like, the fact that this just, like, turns all of our resources into pressure in the late game is pretty huge. I wonder if we gonna end up being worth it splashing this Phoenix Guard Lancer. If we get enough playables out of this pack, we'll probably end up cutting this, but I really wouldn't mind it, honestly, between the Sparkle Caps and the Storm Riders, like curving all the way up into a Phoenix Guard Lancer on 4 or 5 seems pretty good. This pack doesn't have anything too terribly exciting in it. Field Medic is kind of slow and clunky, not really what we're looking to do in our aggressive deck. It can swing races, but I don't think that's something we're in the market for. Dawn Scout's probably the pickup here. There's enough Underworld troops in the 6/6/5 format that this often has a relevant text box that it can't be blocked by them, so this is another relevant play on the second turn of the game too. Usually decks like this, you just need to have plays on turns 2 and 3 so you can continue applying pressure to your opponents. Otherwise, the bigger like Ada decks and stuff like that are going to be able to get around you. Get out ahead. Get to our next pack here. Back Bastion of Necropolis is not bad, but at the same time, I really don't know that I want to pick up a double diamond requirement on the resource side, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab the Scouring Light here. It's a fine card to reserve in against a deck that may or may not have constants in it. Hopefully we get 1 to 2 of those Root Wranglers wheel back around to us so we can have some 4/2 flyers in the 4th slot. We have 2 Flight Gems reserved for these Sparkle Caps already, so we can have up to 2 more that utilize the Flight on Attack Gem. Twilight Reverend and Ardent Officer. Well, we know what shards people are not in this draft. This Crackling Blast might be okay. It's probably worse than just the other things we have going on in our deck, honestly. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick it up in case we run into a matchup where we feel like we need more removal, but that's not particularly better than any of the cards we're playing right now. Same thing with Cleansing Touch, just like this card's like fine, it's worse than Reversion because it costs twice as much, even though it can have the upside of generating a Valor when targeting our own thing. I still think Reversion's the better card on average, but if we feel like a matchup needs a second Reversion, we can bring that in. This is our first pack, and the Root Wrangler and the Winterbrave both came back around to us. 10 out of 10 when I grabbed the Root Wrangler, though. Just like 4 power flying troops are very powerful in this format, especially when, like I said, we're playing Elk and we can push them through opposing blockers. This is 22 playable cards. That's probably good, especially if we want the Phoenix Guard Lancer. I suppose if we want to cut the Lancer, we need to cut 2 other cards. We get another Root Wrangler come back around to us, so that's all of our Flight Gems used, 2 Sparkle Caps, 2 Root Wranglers. If I had this Phoenix Guard Lancer for the sake of consistency, I also don't need this Awaken Herald, and then I don't need these coins, which leaves me 1 playable short at this point. The Field Medic might be an okay top end, but the Forlorn Soldier is probably marginally better. I suppose I can play this Poison Arrow as well. This is pretty good with Grandfather Elk, right? Like, if you give something Crush and, like, whatever they put in front of it, you can just, like, give it lethal, so they only have to push 1 point of damage per. Another Root Wrangler, you say? Maybe we can put a different gem than one of these Sparkle Caps or just cut it. Like, this card's so good when you have it on 4 with the Flight Gem and they don't have an answer to it. Just like 4 power flyers. They just... Not stellar against like Ada, but we've got enough effects like Feral Root Tactics and stuff that we can probably make do. Trim a Sparkle Cap here, and this is 22 playables. I suppose we could probably fit 1 more in here. What if the Spring Renewal's unplayable? Like put target non-action card from our crypt back into our hand. Can like rebuy our Root Wrangler in the mid to late game. It doesn't seem awful. We got a 17 shard deck that tops out at 4. Honestly, I'm not even sure we want them on Sagai coins. I feel like we probably just want to be as trim as possible in this deck. And like we have Verdant Mill as some flood insurance. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Grandfather Elk here as the champion. We're a touch light on troops, but Battle Prep, and Call of the Deepwood are also troops, so that's probably fine, like 16-ish. Flight on attack, flight on attack, flight on attack. Sparkle Cap, also flight on attack. Any other gems I'm missing? No. So let's look at our a little bit more wild than diamond, and we need double wild for Grandfather Elk activation. This is probably a 10-7 split for resources. I could see 9-8 being reasonable too, but 10-7 seems fine. Like, we really want to hit that double diamond consistently, and that double wild consistently, and a lot of our diamond cards don't happen until turn 3. Just do a last double check here, make sure there's not anything we're missing. Yeah, I think playing the Phoenix Guard Lancer is probably a little bit too ambitious, so once again, picked up a Strangle first pick, and then didn't actually end up playing it. This deck seems kind of reasonable. It's kind of an aggressive Flyers deck, which seems kind of sweet. We got a couple of reasonable pieces of removal and some good pump, and hopefully Grandfather Elk's going to be able to push us through our opponents. At any rate, thanks for watching today's Draft Day video. Remember to stay tuned for some gameplay videos coming up here shortly. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you again for the wrap-up video very soon.